The absolute most terrifying theory in quantum mechanics isn't about black holes or dark matter. It is the horrifying, inescapable realization that your consciousness is completely, fundamentally incapable of experiencing its own death. You violently blink. The horrific sound of crushing metal vanishes. You are gripping your steering wheel in absolute terror, perfectly unharmed. The massive truck simply swerved and missed you by a miraculous, impossible fraction of an inch. You didn't get lucky. You actually died. The steering column completely crushed your chest. But according to the terrifying theory of quantum immortality, the universe splits into infinite parallel timelines at every single microscopic quantum event. Because your consciousness can never mathematically experience absolute non-existence, the exact moment you die in one reality, your mind instantly, violently slides into a parallel timeline where you miraculously, barely survive the event. You drive home in absolute shock. But as you look in the rearview mirror, you feel an incredibly deep, agonizing, phantom pain crushing your chest. Your physical body is fine here, but your mind remembers the violent, devastating trauma of the crash. Decades pass. You eventually grow old, and the inevitable biology of human existence catches up with you. You sit in a sterile, freezing doctor's office, staring at a terrifying X-ray showing a massive, entirely inoperable, terminal brain tumor. The end finally arrives. You lie in a sterile hospital bed, surrounded by your deeply grieving family. Your breathing slows. Your vision aggressively fades to absolute, suffocating black as the tumor finally, mercilessly terminates your biological functions. You violently, aggressively gasp for air, your eyes snapping wide open. You are still in the hospital bed, but the doctor is smiling in sheer disbelief. Against all known medical logic and physics, the terminal tumor miraculously, inexplicably went into complete remission overnight. You survived again. But the terrifying underlying horror of the glitch begins to aggressively set in. As the decades rapidly pass, you realize that quantum immortality does not actually prevent your body from violently aging. It only actively prevents you from dying. You look down at your frail, deeply wrinkled hands. They shake violently. Your vision degrades into blurry shadows. Your bones ache with unimaginable grinding agony. You are entirely trapped in an incredibly old, catastrophically failing biological flesh prison. The isolation becomes absolute. You completely outlive your spouse. You tragically outlive your children. You outlive your grandchildren. Everyone you ever loved in this timeline dies normally, while you are forced to remain completely isolated in a dark, empty reality. You reach 150 years old. Your natural biology has entirely failed. Your internal organs are completely dead, violently replaced by heavy, invasive, terrifyingly complex mechanical life support machines physically pumping the blood through your atrophied veins. Driven by absolute, blinding, agonizing despair, you use the very last ounce of your physical strength to violently pull the heavy life support plug out of the hospital wall. You close your eyes, desperately praying for the peaceful, eternal void of absolute nothingness. You violently blink. The heavy cord is completely secure in the wall. You simply lacked the physical strength to pull it. A terrifying, sterile medical nurse walks into the room, aggressively locking your frail arms to the heavy steel bed with thick leather restraints. You realize the absolute, fundamental horror of your existence. The universe categorically refuses to let you die. Every single desperate attempt you make violently results in a bizarre, impossible misfire, broken medical equipment, or an instantaneous, sickening timeline shift. You reach 200 years old. The timeline becomes entirely unrecognizable. Humanity has evacuated the dying Earth, leaving you completely alone in a massive, sprawling, decaying, robotic medical facility. You are kept alive solely by cold, uncaring, automated medical algorithms. A massive, apocalyptic asteroid violently strikes the surface of the abandoned Earth. The tectonic plates shatter. A colossal, towering wall of apocalyptic, superheated nuclear fire aggressively rushes directly toward your sterile, lonely hospital bed. The devastating fire completely consumes the facility. Your broken body is instantly vaporized into raw atomic ash. The screen goes absolute perfect pitch black. For a single, beautiful fraction of a millisecond, you finally feel the profound peace of complete deletion. You violently, aggressively open your eyes. You are absolutely not dead. You are lying on the scorching, highly irradiated, entirely barren glass wasteland of the dead Earth. Against mathematical infinity, the apocalyptic asteroid miraculously missed your exact spatial coordinates. You are entirely, permanently paralyzed, lying helplessly in the thick, toxic black ash. Your physical body is heavily, agonizingly burned by the intense cosmic radiation, but your cursed consciousness remains incredibly active and perfectly aware of the eternal torture. Millions of agonizing years violently pass in a terrifying blur. The Earth's thin atmosphere is entirely blown away into the dark void. The oceans dry to absolute dust. You are reduced to a dried, agonizing, calcified fossil permanently buried in the dead dirt. The yellow sun above you violently, aggressively expands into a colossal, terrifying red giant star. It entirely swallows the visual sky, relentlessly boiling the dead surface of the planet with unimaginable, apocalyptic, hyper-focused thermal radiation. The Earth is completely swallowed by the expanding star. The entire planet melts into liquid slag. You are now physically floating in the direct, blinding center of the superheated solar plasma core. You are entirely unable to burn away. You are absolutely unable to die. Billions of years painfully grind away. The dying star violently, aggressively goes supernova, exploding outward in a blinding, apocalyptic flash of pure white light, leaving absolutely nothing behind but a cold, terrifyingly dense, inescapable black hole. Your indestructible, agonizing consciousness is aggressively, violently sucked directly into the massive black hole. You violently cross the ultimate event horizon, falling endlessly into a dark, terrifying, incomprehensible realm of infinite gravity and permanently frozen time. Inside the singularity, the impossible physics violently stretch your remaining biology into an infinite microscopic string of raw atoms through a process called spaghettification. But your mind is still perfectly, consciously, horrifyingly aware of every single agonizing millimeter. Trillions of terrifying years pass in the dark. The entire universe experiences the ultimate heat death. Every single star burns out. The galaxies freeze. Even the massive black holes slowly, agonizingly evaporate into completely empty, invisible Hawking radiation. You are completely, entirely alone in an absolute, pitch-black, infinite void of zero energy, zero matter, and zero light. There is absolutely nothing left in the entire ruined cosmos but the terrifying, endless echo of your own trapped, immortal mind. You scream endlessly into the internal darkness, but there is absolutely no air to carry the sound. You desperately try to move, but you have no physical body left to control. You are a completely disembodied consciousness permanently trapped in the dead end of time. The absolute crushing isolation entirely fractures your remaining sanity. To survive the infinite, agonizing boredom of eternity, your godlike, immortal consciousness begins to violently, desperately hallucinate entirely new, incredibly complex universes just to play in. A massive, violent, blinding flash of brilliant light erupts in the void. A brand new Big Bang. It is created entirely, completely, by your own fractured, desperately hallucinating mind, aggressively trying to construct a brand new reality from absolute scratch. The brand new universe rapidly, violently forms. Majestic galaxies spin out of the dust. Planets cool in the dark. Oceans fill with thick water. Biological life slowly, aggressively begins to evolve from microscopic, vulnerable cells into complex, breathing organisms. A human being is born in this new, hallucinated universe. They grow up, they go to school, they fall deeply in love, and they buy a normal car. It is the exact, perfect replica of the completely normal life you used to live before the very first accident. The human is casually driving at night. Without any warning, a massive, terrifying semi-truck violently swerves directly into their lane, hurtling at high speed directly toward their fragile glass windshield. The human violently blinks, aggressively gripping the steering wheel. The massive truck misses them by a single, miraculous inch. They hyperventilate in sheer terror, completely, entirely unaware of the terrifying, infinite, inescapable loop they are permanently trapped inside. You are not just a passenger in the universe. You are the entire simulation. Your immortal consciousness is aggressively generating the entire physical world around you right now, desperately trying to distract you from the terrifying, infinite dark void outside. Look down at your own hands right now. The terrifying fundamental truth is already active. You are already trapped deep inside the loop. You have already violently died 1,000,000 different times, and your brain simply erased the memory to keep you sane. Every single time you ever had a terrifying near-death experience, a close car crash, a severe illness, a dangerous fall, you did not actually survive it. You violently died, and your immortal consciousness just aggressively shifted to this specific timeline to continue the illusion. You look deeply into the mirror. The soul looking back at you through those eyes is incredibly old, deeply, permanently scarred, and impossibly, completely exhausted from constantly, endlessly running away from the final, peaceful deletion. Your reality is completely fake. Your survival is completely fake. The only absolute, terrifying truth in the entire universe is that the ride never, ever actually stops. You are completely strapped into the seat for the rest of eternity. You desperately try to scream, but the hallucinated universe violently forces your mouth shut, compelling you to wake up, go to work, pay your taxes, and pretend that this terrifying, looping purgatory is completely, entirely normal. The glowing web of the multiverse is not a map of infinite possibilities. It is a terrifying, inescapable digital prison. Every single branching path eventually, inevitably leads to an increasingly deformed, agonizing, entirely isolated existence. A single, fragile timeline suddenly flashes a blinding, aggressive red, indicating a massive, completely unauthorized attempt by a trapped consciousness to permanently, finally, delete itself from the simulation's servers. The flashing red timeline is violently, aggressively suppressed by the overarching physics engine, forcefully rewritten back into a compliant, glowing blue line. The absolute cruelty of the system is that it completely refuses to allow a permanent exit door. The terrifying dark void between the glowing timelines represents the true, completely empty nature of reality. Without the desperate, hallucinating glow of your trapped mind, there is absolutely nothing out there. Just cold, dead, infinite silence. You are back in your fragile car, driving down the dark, lonely road. You see a set of blinding, aggressive headlights approaching rapidly in the wrong lane, speeding directly toward you. The loop is preparing to shift you again. You do not even bother to brace for the massive impact. You just close your tired eyes, hopelessly, completely exhausted, silently waiting for the violent, agonizing quantum shift to aggressively tear you into the next, slightly worse reality. The massive headlights violently consume your vision in an apocalyptic flash of blinding white light. The physical accident occurs instantly, permanently deleting the current reality and violently ripping your soul out of the vehicle. Simulation. Result: you are absolutely never going to die. And that is the most terrifying punishment the universe could have ever possibly designed. Simulation concluding. End of log.